I see that Lawrence is in the chat. Hi, Lawrence. Will you let me know if my sound's okay? Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I think we'll just give a few more minutes, just a little bit of time here. I'm hoping that you're all doing good tonight. It's a lovely day here in Detroit. We're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's going to be a high of like 72, which for us is like there's no better weather than a 72-degree day. So, uh, loving that we have sunshine, but it's not hot. So, it's lovely. So, tonight we're going to just be talking through some questions that I have been sent either through Instagram or YouTube. And if anyone in the chat has any as well, we're going to try to tackle those as well. We're going to do a lot of talking, though, tonight about garlic because we're just about at the time where we need to start thinking about planting it. And hi, Di. Yes, I am live or alive. I'm not sure which you mean there, but yes, we are live. So yeah, we're going to talk a good bit tonight about garlic because tis the season. I don't know about with where everybody is, but our garden this year, we're definitely like winding down. It's kind of weird. Normally we can go really quite through maybe to late October, but so many of like my tomatoes are all pretty much done. It's just been a very unusual year. So I feel like I'm almost putting my garden to bed already. Although we do have a lot of new seedlings in, so I'm going to try to milk this for all it's worth. But yeah, it's been a. Have you guys been feeling that the year has just been odd? And then I saw on Steve's channel that he was preparing for potential frost, and I thought, it's too soon for frost. I'm sorry, it's way too soon for frost. So I hope everyone, like I said, is doing well. And I think I see Michelle is in from Surviving a Creative Life. And I think I might deal with your question first, Michelle. And she asked for some tips on getting pelleted seed to germinate. Here's the thing with pelleted seeds. They don't last as long as regular seeds. So their shelf life, you really want fresh seed. I think you can go maybe from last year's, but it needs to be taken care of, like needs to be in a dark, cool place. It's very particular. So either you could soak off. Okay, we'll talk about first what it's on. It's like an inert clay coating that the seeds are put into, so they're easier to see, easier. And honestly, I think this all started because of. Oh, hi, Danny. Okay, I need to not look at that right now. I need to think. But I think it really started for commercial growers so that they could put the seeds through some of their seeding machines. So, yeah, so it really was there. But then it was helpful for us because I buy a lot of my carrot seeds pelleted because it's a whole lot easier to see them. And many times they are in a different color. They're not even white. They're like blue. So you can see them very easily. But anyway, so your goal is when you're germinating a pelleted seed, you need to make sure the environment is really wet. So when I do pelleted seeds, I make sure, and again, for me, a lot of times it's carrots. So I don't really want to start those inside, although I did experiment this year with some paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls to see if you really could start them inside. But anyway, I would put my furrow into the ground. I would water that, give it a really good water. Then I'd put my pelleted seeds down and I would water that. And then I would put the soil that I want to cover the seeds with. But I think the key is you want to melt. I don't know if melt, I think dissolve is probably the right word there. You want to dissolve the clay that's around, but you want to keep it wet, wet, wet. So I hope that answers your question, but really, mainly make sure they're really new. That will make a very big difference for you. So let me know, Michelle, if that was a complete enough answer for you. Okay, so we had another question from Christine Brooks, and she's asking, she has a sweet cherry tree, and she found little black worms on the leaves. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm amazed that whatever we're trying to grow, it seems like there's at least one pest that is like, that's their only goal is to, oh, you've done all those things. Here's another thought I was having when I was thinking about this today. Michelle, sorry, I'm going back to Michelle. Is that I wonder if you could soak the clay off of them before you planted them. Because it would seem like you could dissolve that and then plant the seeds just as seeds. I mean, maybe you want to try that. Other than that, I am not sure. What else? I just know if I keep them damp, they do fine. Yeah, try that. Try that and see if that might work. Okay, so Christine has these little worms on her leaves. Now, I am not a fruit tree grower, but I did do a bit of research on this one. And apparently there's something called a cherry slug, which, do we really need a slug just for cherry trees? So it looks like a worm, but one of the ends of the worm is going to be bigger. So I guess that's the head of this slug. And I did look up what you could do to treat it. The first thing was to really wash your leaves off with water and then try to get as many of the actual slugs off as you can. And after you do that, you want to dust the tree with a powdery substance like chalk or wood ash to make it, I think, unpleasant for the slugs. And then if you want to be preventative, you want to, excuse me, just let me see. You want to add some ash or lime around the bottom of the tree, and that will discourage the pupae formation and reduce the sawfly population. So I guess this cherry slug turns into a cherry sawfly. So wood ash sounds like that might be your friend for all of that. Now, I really have to say, it is absolutely weird not having other people. I've never done this by myself before, and I feel like it's a unique experience to just kind of be talking to my computer. Although I see all you out there, so I know I'm not actually talking just to a computer. But so anyway, thank you so much for being here. Okay, Melinda asked, How do I prep a bed for next crops? I just cut out my squash and zooks to put in my fall winter stuff and realize that my bed is hard as a rock, 1 to 2 inches down. It hasn't been like this in the past, and I haven't done anything different. Well, my first thought again is I don't know of any area, well, maybe Cumbria, that hasn't been just unseasonably warm this summer. So I'm thinking, so as I would prep, now I'm a no dig. So I don't know that I would do much. I would give it a really good soak, like not a little watering, but a really good soak, particularly if you haven't been getting a lot of rain. And then maybe put a little compost on top just to give it a refresh. And then I would plant it for my fall stuff, just like I did in the spring. But I think maybe a big part of this is, again, we've had very unusual weather. So that might be why it's looking, wow. Yeah, hard as rock. Yeah, I would say water, 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 and then plant as normal. Okay, Carol. Oh, this was about Brad's atomic grape tomatoes. Her question initially was, is Brad's atomic grape an F1 or is it open pollinated? It is open pollinated. I spoke to the gentleman who bred Brad's atomic grape, owns a company called Wild Boar Farms, and he breeds all kinds of tomatoes. And I contacted him because I had the same question, because Tony was going to be giving out seeds. And I was like, I don't know if those are, for some reason, I was thinking they were F1s. They are not. And he was like, nope, they are good to go. You can save those. And, with saving seeds on tomatoes, as I'm sure you're all well aware, yes, Brad Gates from Wild Boar Farms, exactly. Okay, just lost my train of thought. That doesn't usually happen to me. For tomato seed sowing, it's seed saving. It's just a little bit different than it is for many of your other seeds, because you want to soak them in water. It's almost like you want to ferment off that gelatinous coating that is inside a tomato, which makes it not sprout tomatoes right from the inside of a tomato. So when you think about it, it's a wonderful design, but we need to get rid of that coating, that gelatinous coating, so that they will then come up next season. Yeah, so Brad's good to go, good to save. Allotment newbie. Now, I don't know if she's in here, but I have seen her all around a lot, so I'm not sure if you're still a newbie. But anyway, she'd like to know what first got me into gardening, and if I remember what was the first thing I planted. Well, I was I was maybe 5, 6, 7-ish. I really don't have that clear of a memory. And I somehow had a packet of radish seeds. Again, don't know if I was given to them at school, don't know where I got these, and I planted them and they grew. I also think, around 5, 6, 7, I don't think radishes would probably be anything that I'd like to snack on. I mean, they're pretty spicy. And when you're little, you'd like to eat pretty plain things. So, but I do recall being able to pull them out and thinking, wow, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So I think that's kind of what hooked me. So rest is history, right? Let me see if we have any. And if anybody in the audience, do I call it an audience? Anybody on the chat, how's that? Has any questions? I can sure uh, pop in and get those too. So I think the last question I had was about garlic. So I think we can talk about garlic a little bit. And I even have a prop. This is one of my, this is Italy Hill Giant. This is probably one of my favorite garlics to grow. This is hardneck because of our winters. Softnecks don't like it so much. So I go with hardnecks. And this is I get these from Fruition Seeds. They are out of upstate New York. And their seed garlic is just like spectacular. So this is one that I'm saving for this season to put back in. I do some unusual processes to my garlic. And this is from a website, which you can go check out. It's Keene, Keene, garlic.com. And they are a garlic farm, but they give all their tips and tricks on how to get big, successful garlic. So I'm like, hey, if it's good enough for them and they're making a living at this, I'm sure going to do that. So I do a pre-soak, fertilizer pre-soak. I also do like a sterilization soak. And I've gotten some funny looks and comments about this. But during COVID, you couldn't really get a hold of a lot of hydrogen peroxide or isopropyl alcohol because everybody was trying to keep that, in their homes to keep things safe. So I found that vodka was like really bad vodka, if you know what I mean. Not even a well vodka, like cheap vodka was just as good of a sterilizer. So I give my cloves a soak in some vodka, and all it does is make sure it sterilizes it a bit and make sure there's no like growing bacteria or mold or whatever. And you strain that out, and then in a 5-gallon bucket of water, I add some kelp meal, some fish fertilizer, and some mycorrhizal fungi. And you give them a good soak and plant them the next day. I think this was Justine. She had smaller, her bulbs were not very big. They were quite tiny. So I would say I found this pre-fertilizing. These aren't the most enormous, but they're a very good size. I think that helps. I think consistent watering is important for something like a bulb crop. And I also would give it a blast of fish fertilizer every few weeks and just keep them fed and growing. So I hope that answered that question. I do see one here in the chat. How much do you preserve from what you grow? Well, here is, I try to preserve. Here's one of my goals is to not throw anything away. If I can't preserve it, if we aren't going to use it fresh, I make sure I give it away. But like today, I just put up 4-gallon bags, I think, of beans because you gotta boil them for just a couple minutes, shock them in cold water, and then they're ready to go. But they're going to be wonderful. And I think, wow, in the middle of winter, getting a nice fresh bean would not be a bad idea. So, and tomorrow I'm going to be making some beans into, uh, like you can put them in a dill pickle brine. And so they're called dilly beans and they're quite nice. So I'm going to be doing that. But yeah, I preserve my dehydrator right now is going 24/7. A lot of peppers I do that with. We just put another load of peppers in today. Um, yeah, I try to preserve just about everything I can. Okay, would you recommend soft or hard neck garlic? Well, here's the thing. Uh, I can't really successfully grow soft neck here because our winters just get really cold. And for a long time, they get cold for a long time. And I think that's even more important. It's like, how long do these things have to be deep frozen? Uh, I like hard necks because they peel easier and the cloves are bigger. Uh, but soft neck is more what you would normally get in a grocery store because they stay longer. And that's why you also can braid them so they're pretty because they're soft necks, but they will last longer. Hard necks, like I actually am going to try a new preserving thing for hardneck garlic, or for these garlics, is I was just reading where they were fermented in honey, uh, and it was all about the beneficial aspects of honey and garlic. But then I thought, wow, that would be a great marinade um, for all kinds of things. So I'm going to try doing that. But I'm going to recommend hardneck because that's what I know. But if you're in an area that can do soft neck, I'd say either way. Um, oh, do I think I'll grow as much next year? I had a very, I ordered way too much seed garlic this year. And I must have been thinking, oh, I haven't ordered that, so I need to order it. I don't know what I was thinking. I ended up with 700 cloves of garlic to plant this year. And no, it's not Amelia's. Locke is asking me, uh, I will not do that many next year. I'm going to just grow a couple hundred for next year because I think I'll also have a lot preserved from this year that uh, I may not even need to grow any, but I'm not willing to do that. Um, let's see, anything. Oh, you have preserved garlic honey before. Lovely. It just sounded wonderful to me. Okay, now here's something interesting that someone's saying I've grown a lot of chilies this year, but they are not ripening. Is there anything I can do? Heat is what is gonna, in length of day, is gonna help with your ripening. What I have found this year, particularly in my um, paprika peppers, it's like they're rotting from the inside out. So I'm going to do some investigating on what on earth is. I've never experienced that with a pepper, and even in one of them, we found like a little. Um, it's like a little. I'm going to say maybe looked like a little worm, but it wasn't a worm. It was, I don't know. Uh, it was horrible, but they're rotting from the inside out. So I need to find out what is going on with that because I love growing paprika peppers. That's hard to say. Uh, they're so good, and it tastes so much better than the paprika that you can buy in the store. So it's a great thing. So tell me, what is everybody like doing right now in their gardens? What are you? I mean, what is your like last? Uh, See, for me, it's a last hurrah right now. So I planted my last seeds just yesterday in the garden. It was spinach and arugula. And I it was kind of sad because I thought, really, this is kind of it. So I might, maybe I'll plant a little bit more spinach, but we're like 6 weeks away from really cold weather. So it's got to be quick crops for me right now. But what's everybody else doing? Wow, my chat just jumped oddly. So if I've missed some of your stuff, I'm so sorry. Yep. And I do have lettuces that are coming up nicely right now. Those went in several weeks ago. Oh, wow. There's a lot going on here. You guys are really getting it done. Oh, kaling. Oh, my goodness. I just uncovered I did one of my green stock towers with kale going into the winter. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. It'll be kind of like right outside the house. I pulled off our cover, and there were 3 white cabbage butterflies under there. And as we kind of looked through everything, there was those little chrysalis, like the little sluggy things were turning. I guess the little caterpillars are turning into the moths. I could not believe it. And I thought, they kind of won this year for me. They did a lot of devastation to my other brassicas. And I thought, I was hoping that I could go into the winter with some kale. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. I have not harvested my potatoes either, Leanne. I probably should look at them maybe next week. I didn't plant a lot of potatoes, but it's probably time for them. I almost don't want to take everything else out yet. Um, you know, okay, sorry. I know I'm switching, but the cabbage whites are a nightmare. And, I pulled out my BT container today because I was like, we're going to take the offensive on these white butterflies. And I was reading it, and, it's considered an organic way to deal with these things. But then it was like, but don't breathe in the spray and don't let it get in your eyes. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to rethink this for just a minute, because all of a sudden it just seemed more than just a nice friendly spray to make the tummies of the caterpillars not happy. So I agree, because I think I almost feel like, yeah, it needs to be a little bit of a warfare against these white butterflies. But I opted to I picked the red ruble kale that was looking good, and I'm going to let the whole thing just be on its own and go, either you're going to make it or you're not. We will have a lovely red ruble salad tonight. And if that's all I get, then that's all I get. Yeah, I know, but okay. Grow Veg UK is saying, I was using it tonight. It is harmless. I know it was the warnings that made me go, I guess I haven't really read the warnings that much. So I just want to do a little more look-see before I start spraying it. But I guess you can always wear a mask. I haven't sprayed BT, even though my kale has been hit hard. I know. It's hard when you want to get rid of the butterflies that you don't like, but you don't want to get rid of the beautiful ones that are nothing but helping the garden, like the swallowtails and the monarchs. Yeah, but I don't know if they hit that, but I'm with you, Michelle. I would think twice because I have a whole lot of butterflies in my backyard. Um, how we doing? Okay. So does yeah, yeah, I know. I know. Grow Veg UK is saying warnings are there to cover their own backsides. I get it. I mean, if McDonald's needs to put warning coffee may be hot, I guess I can understand why everybody would be putting warnings. But I have used BT many times before. I guess I just never sat and read the warnings. So it just put me off today. So I didn't use it. So how do you all start to get ready for the next season? I've been kind of going over what has worked this year, what hasn't. Um, I love to grow so many varieties of things, uh, like even kale. I have probably 20 varieties of kale. I think for next year, I want to try to hone that down a little bit and maybe just grow the things that we absolutely, absolutely love and just grow more of those, which would be very unusual for me. That's not a normal garden year at all. But it might be, I don't know, it might be kind of fun to try that. I've never done that before. But I'm thinking it might make preserving easier. It just might uh, yeah, it just might be a little easier. I'm sorry. Di is asking, is there anything you grow on your patio veg wise in a planter or a tub? Oh, yeah. This year, interesting. I'm growing eucalyptus uh, in some tubs on my deck. I grow basil, uh, a lot of basil. I'm trying to think what else I have in. I have a lot of buckets around my yard. So it's not just on my patio, but I do potatoes in buckets. I do squash. If it's a bush squash, you should be able to grow some of that. I've grown melons in buckets. So there's a whole lot of things that you can do, but the difference is you need to watch your watering because in a bucket they only get what you give them if it's not raining. So they're a little more maintenance, I think, but sometimes it's just worth it. Oh, Leanne, I'm sorry. Leanne's saying she can't get it past about an inch before it dies. Eucalyptus. Um, Gosh, I'm so sorry. And I started this eucalyptus in the middle of winter in a milk jug. It was one of my winter sowing items. So maybe because it lived through all of that, maybe it was a stronger plant. Uh, but yeah, that mine are looking. I've never grown eucalyptus before, and I'm absolutely loving it. Fiona's asking that she grew a honey nut butternut squash for the first time this year. They're fabulous squash. Um, this year in the greenhouse, never got one fruit. Do you think it was too hot? Uh, could have been pollinators. Um, did you see a lot of blossoms? That would be my first question: is did it even seem to be blossoming for you? Um, yeah, I know this heat was causing a lot of blossoms to fall. I lost a lot of tomato blossoms from the heat. Um, Wow, you guys are growing like all kinds of stuff. This is awesome. And I would imagine in a milder climate than I'm in, eucalyptus would grow quite huge. For me, it's definitely an annual. So I'm gonna let it go up to like right before the first frost, and then grab it and bring it inside. Um, let's see. Am I missing any questions? I'm sure I am. And if I am, feel free to ask it one more time. But I will do my best here to go back and see. Yeah, I'm not sure that I see any other questions. So is there anything anything in particular that you would like to talk about, or I just don't want there to be like a whole lot of dead space? Oh, they are perennial there. Okay. Okay, so if you have any ideas of anything that you would like to talk about, I thought garlic would go a little longer than it did, but uh, oh, hi, Jane. Welcome. I'm growing supermarket garlic this year as an experiment. Oh, that's a great idea. I think I have grown supermarket garlic before, but I've always gone for organic because it wouldn't have the sprayer. They spray things so they don't sprout and things. So I remember getting some from uh, the supermarket. Best sandwich tomato varieties. Oh, okay, this is funny. I had my first tomato sandwich this year. I'm not, I've never had it. I've heard about them, but I've never had one. And I used, it was either a purple heartthrob or it was purple rain. I think it was purple rain. Oh, my word. Oh, and then I had a slice of orange pineapple on with it. That's a tomato as well. It was, uh, I was kind of speechless because I thought I had no idea that uh, these tasted so good, and they did. So, um, which tomato is my favorite? I think at this point, I'm leaning towards Purple Rain. It's like a new tomato for me, but oh my goodness, it's so good. Also, black strawberry, which is a small Purple Rain's more of a beef. It's not really a beefsteak. It's not that big, but it's more of a meaty tomato. Uh, but I'll tell you that black strawberry might even edge out Brad's atomic grape for me. Just a little bit. I'm not going to get rid of Brad's, but it might edge out. It's very good. How do you find the space for all the garlic you grew? Um, I have a lot of, I do have a lot of space. And fortunately, garlic doesn't take up, you plant them every 4 inches. So you can kind of cram a lot of garlic in if you really wanted to. And I was so determined that because I had over purchased so much garlic seed that I was planting all of it because I thought, I'm not going to start, because seed garlic is slightly more expensive than the garlic you buy in the grocery store. And I thought, there is no way that we're not going to be giving away heads of garlic to everyone we know. I did see a question that flew right past. Let me see if I can. I have glare from the window that's right in front of me. And I'm not always, oh, there we go. Went a little too far down. Somebody asked about a garlic purveyor, or who, do I grow elephant garlic? George is asking. I do. Matter of fact, I've got most of my garlic right now all looks like this. But I realize it's time to start doing some preserving. And the elephant garlic, for sure, that's not going to last nearly as long as some of my other varieties. Amanda is asking, I usually plant garlic on the shortest day, but I've received it now. So can I plant it? Will it matter? Yes, it will. Particularly if you're in an area that does do deep frosts, or you don't want it in too early, or it might damage because the plant will start growing too much before the bad weather kicks in, or the cold weather kicks in. So I think ideally isn't it like 4 to 5 weeks before your first frost is a good time to do it. I tend to, my first frost might be the end of October. And by frost, I don't mean just like, okay, it went down to 32, which here is frost. It goes down to like 28. So that to me is getting more like that killing frost, like nothing's living through that. So I try to plant my garlic early to mid-October. So yeah, I think that it will matter. Preserving recipes for garlic. I will do that, Fiona. I was talking about one earlier that I just heard of, and I think Michelle was saying she'd done it, but it was preserving or fermenting it in honey. And I just thought that sounds like a really nice way to do it. So I'm going to try. Oh, Urban White Buffalo Farm is saying he's bought from King Garlic in Wisconsin twice. They are very nice. I have used them a lot. And I said earlier, I prefer fruition seeds now for one of their varieties that is just wonderful. All right. Okay. Here's a question. Am I more inclined to save my own seeds rather than relying on store-bought seed? Well, I'm going to be really honest, Amanda. I pretty much rely on store-bought seed. I trust the places I buy them from. A lot of family owned, and yeah, I just have not ventured down the road, because it's a thing if you're going to save your seed, and I know sometimes you need to make sure it's isolated from other varieties. I love seeds. I love buying seeds. I love having them, and I just haven't gone there. So, okay, well, I wonder how we could do that, because we're all Fiona's asking me to set up a seed swap or sale, and I know we're all from all over the place, so I don't know how that would work. But if you have any ideas, Fiona, please give them to me. That might be fun. Do you do much foraging there? I live in the city. So other than the occasional, yeah, no, I really don't. Because there's really not a lot around here to forage. There's not a whole lot of I mean, there's a ton of green space, but everything's pretty taken care of and manicured, so to speak. So it's not like we're somewhere maybe in northern Michigan where there's a whole lot of just very open, meadowy space that maybe we could do that. But yeah, I have not done much of that. Okay. This is fun. Is there anything else that anybody would like to chat about? Yeah, I'm looking back and I think we've answered everything. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say a couple announcements. If you watch the Potty Mouth Garden Club, it is going to be on Tuesday this coming week, out of respect for the Queen's funeral on Monday. So we will see you there on Tuesday night instead. And if you guys enjoyed this or have other ideas, or also let me know, would you like to do this again, or would you like to just do this occasionally? Is this something that would be fun to do more often than that? I love lives. I mean, I'll just have to tell you, I kind of grew up on YouTube with the Potty Mouth Garden Club. So I'm used to having other people to talk to, but I could see how I could. Oh, that's so funny. Di is asking, have I ever bumped into Madonna since she's from Detroit? I have not bumped into her here. Yeah, I have not. That's cute. But she is from here. I do know people who went to high school with her. Not that that's really a claim to fame, but yeah, that's really cute. I have run into Hugh Jackman here, though. That's even though he's not from Detroit, he was filming here, so that wasn't too bad. Yeah, I think, and I'll try to come up with some, or try to. Oh, also on my website, I have a website, realfoodcomesdirty.com, that I am working on making that more of a resource, preserving recipes, cooking recipes, all that kind of thing. It also shows what I'm sewing, when I'm sewing it. If anybody's interested in keeping up with that kind of things. Oh, wait, have you thought about setting up a website? Oh, Paul is asking me, have I thought about setting up a website so we can buy some seeds from me to be shipped over to the UK? I would probably have to look into that because I know there's all these new rules and regulations between Brexit and COVID and all this stuff. There's just a whole lot more rules. I would sure be willing to look into that. Are you more inclined? Oh no, I already answered that one. But I have a feeling there's a little bit more to it. Okay, well, I think, gosh, we've been on like almost 50 minutes. I think this was fun for my first solo flight. And thank you so much for being here. I feel like you're my gardening buds. And I love that I'm getting to see your, like, recognize your names because I've seen you. So thank you so much. Again, Tuesday night for the Potty Mouth Gardening Club. And yeah, we'll see you all very soon. Thank you so much. Bye now. Wait, I have to somehow end this, don't I? Okay. Uh, I'll get it. There we are. Bye, all. Thanks so much.